This might be my favorite Star Wars trailer since The Empire Strikes Back. But not just because it's Star Wars and it has spaceships and it has Darth Vader and it has whatever else, the geek stuff, but the message that it gives. And it reminds me going back to the original Star Wars back in 1977. Actually, let me just read this. This is as soon as I watched the trailer, I wrote this down. When Star Wars first came out in 1977, it was the movie about underdogs, about victory against all odds, the rebellion against what was popular and trendy. Back then, it was disco, and if you are old enough to have lived back then, it was the dance craze, disco, glitter, Studio 54. And Star Wars was this oddball movie, a science fiction movie that nobody thought would do anything, make more than like $15 million. That's the truth. And we know where that went. All the nerds and geeks and fringe dwellers and outliers gravitated towards Star Wars because it raised up the underdog. And then Star Wars got so big that it wasn't for the underdog anymore. This movie, this Rogue One, at least the trailer that I saw, trailer number 2, it feels like a return to that original idea of overcoming odds, of being the underdog, of doing what's right instead of what's popular, or doing things out of fear of failing or dying. Jyn Erso said, "We have hope. Rebellions are built on hope." And then Donnie Yen's character, Chirrut Imwe, smiled in this trailer. Yeah, hopefully you've seen the trailer already. That's why you're watching this. And this is, to me, this is the heart of Star Wars. That more often than not, we have sort of lost recently. Because Star Wars is such a juggernaut now. It's such a powerhouse. Star Wars is now sort of the empire, especially when Disney owning Star Wars. And this, I'm not going to talk about not much the specifics about the trailer, but I'm going to talk about how the trailer made me feel. And it made me feel like how science fiction makes a person feel, or geekery or nerddom. Before geekery or nerddom became popular, when you were called a geek or a nerd way back in the day, you were an outsider. And there was this more popular, this even though I pretty much hung out with everybody, except I hung out with such a different variety of people that I didn't know how it felt to be an outsider. And especially if you're not particularly rich, or live in a city that is full of rich people. If you live in blue collar areas, middle income, Star Wars, the heart of Star Wars, is for you. The rebellion. It's Luke on Tatooine. He's a farm boy. He's trying to live a simple life, but he knows he has a greater calling. And I think that's the message of Star Wars all along. Where The Force Awakens was more to appease everybody, I think Rogue One is more. It's more serious. It's more down to earth, if you can say that. It's more gritty. It feels like it, and it's a war movie. And I love the quote by Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna: "Make 10 men feel like 100," and you see them in this little ship that they landed on the beach, taking on the Empire. And I bet you've felt this way in your life, where you are a single person. Maybe you have a small group of friends, but no matter what you do, no matter how you try, there's always a moment where you're trying to convince everybody that we need to do this to do what's right for the world, especially now, especially with elections coming up. And there's a grassroots feel to this thing. And that's what it keeps hitting me. It's like every time I hear the music too, the music is spectacular. And if they can keep this going, if the movie is 75% of what this trailer promises us, this will be the most popular movie of 2016. And I think there's it's not as much a nostalgia factor. Like in The Force Awakens, it's like, oh, we're back, Star Wars, we're back. I think it's because there's a humility to this. Every character in this movie, every good guy in this movie, seems like they are just trying to make ends meet, scrapping it out in life, and there's a humility to it that I think we've lost since the original Star Wars. You had Luke, the very first hour of Star Wars, A New Hope, was slow, and it was the farm boy, and it was the underserved, is what we'd call it now in America, the underserved. All these social services that need help, underserved. People doing what's right for the world, underserved, because there's this greater thing called the empire with the power and the money and the influence. And this movie is trying to go overcome that immense power and influence. Was it the Orson Krennic said, we have this weapon of immeasurable power, the Death Star. So in life, unless you're one of the 1%, you are one of the 99%, and you are not part of that Death Star. And you are part of the rebels. And I think that's the nerve that Star Wars struck a chord in society, is because it showed that the individual, the common man, has the power to overcome the Death Star. Ooh, I'm breaking up a little bit. Yeah, I'm kind of choking up. And I'll tell you why a little bit later. And whenever I see a movie like this, especially when we already know that the Death Star was defeated. So we already know that it's possible for this to be done. I know it's a work of fiction, but if you look over, in history, you look at the Agincourt, Henry V in Agincourt. It was, I think he had 5,000 men, and he fought against like 25,000, and he won because it was strategy, it was grit. Who knows, right? It was like the longbow, basically. But in history, there's always the underdog fighting the big guy, and we see it in movies, Toy Story, you name it. The Dirty Dozen, every Dirty Dozen movie, type of movie has that scenario. The latest one is Fury, with Brad Pitt, and the little the little tank that fought all those Germans, all the Nazis. So I think if you feel this movie, there's a depth to it that hasn't been addressed by Star Wars since The Empire Strikes Back, and maybe even before then. And I think this is what I'm really looking forward to. I it's a given. We're going to get the best special effects in the world. We're going to get the best acting in the world. We're going to get the best treatment, the whole package, the whole movie experience. But we are hopefully getting a lot more heart with this Star Wars movie, because it seems like Star Wars is so popular. You look everywhere, the Star Wars music playing. You go to the supermarket, go to Target and Walmart and all the other places, and there's Star Wars everywhere, to the point where it's too much, it's overwhelming, and you're kind of sick of it already. And it's basically, you add Disney plus Star Wars, and it's like it's too much. Hopefully, this movie will bring that uniqueness, that freshness, that underdog feeling again back. And I think, you know what? Two of the most prominent movies of 2015 were Mad Max Fury Road and The Martian. Two movies that were about underdogs, about against all odds scenario. And I think Rogue One might be 2016's Mad Max Fury Road and and The Martian. So let's see where it goes. If this movie is 75% as good as the trailer is showing us, it will be fantastic. And I will, of course, talk at lengths about it later on. And oh, by the way, the Jyn Erso dressed as an Imperial soldier in that quick scene. There's the three of them. It reminds me of Frodo and Sam dressed as orcs in Return of the King. Remember that? They were the tiny guys with the big helmets and the big costumes and the armor. And if that's gonna be like what Rogue One is, it's gonna be beautiful. What else? And that's another. There's all these quotes in this trailer, in this 2.5 minute trailer. There's all these quotes. We'll take the next chance and the next. That's Jyn Erso talking. Basically, if we don't get it done now, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. We'll keep going either until we do it or we all die. Because that's basically a rebellion. Again, if you look at the history books, read the history books. This has happened in actual Earth history before. So it's save the rebellion, save the dream. That's Saw Gerrera, Forrest Whitaker. And it seems like there's a hopeful desperation. Is probably a good description for this trailer. And I'm sorry if I'm getting you down, but I'm trying to do a different spin on this because this is really how I felt about this trailer. There are I'm pretty sure there's like dozens of reviews, trailer reaction videos that talk about, oh, look at the cool AT-CT and ATSTs and, the X-Wings and the space battles and the Death Star and the Jedha, and look at the Jedi huge sculpture on the desert of Jeddah, and we get to see Darth Vader coming in full force finally. All that stuff, that's great, but there's something else, and that's what separates Star Wars from all the other action movies that tried to copy it in the last 40 years. Star Wars has that heart. And sometimes that heart is packaged in a big, glittery, blockbuster, mega $1 million, movie package. But sometimes we can tap into this Luke Skywalker, the farm boy on Tatooine, hoping to make a difference in the world. And which is, chances are, if you're watching this, you have an affinity to that Luke Skywalker farm boy feeling. You feel like you're one person. You want to make the world a better place, and against all odds, and you're doing your best, and more often than not, the day is trying to defeat you. So. But I think this video came in kind of as a serendipitous time right now, because, if you've been following the Daily Night, I talk about Making Biscuits Cat Rescue. Yes, Making Biscuits Cat Rescue. There. Making Biscuits Cat Rescue. And, I don't like to out and out just ask for money. Please help us. We're more important than the other charities out there or the other needy people. But in this case, we basically have to ask for help, and I think it's kind of it's weird timing almost that the Rogue One trailer came out and it had that kind of message of the underdog, people trying to do good, trying to make the world a better place with no resources, basically, against all odds. We've been doing our best. Hi, kitty. There's my own cat. She's fine, huh? Yeah, you're honey. Come here, baby. Come here, John. Jump up. Hi. Oh, see, there's my kitty. Her name is Honey. She's a rescue cat also. So, yeah, you have good timing, baby. Yeah. She's on the podcast now. But we have a sick cat, and I'll show the graphic. Her name is Tryne. She has a unique name, Tryne. Tryne is she has what is it? Let me read it. We have a GoFundMe page, and the title is "Save Tryne's Life." Making Biscuits is a 501c3 charity, and we love our kitties. We have a resident, Tryne, who is in dire need of special veterinary care. She's been to the regular vet 3 times for x-rays and antibiotics and a bronchial dilator without getting a formal answer for her breathing difficulties. Yeah, I donated to those. I didn't tell you. Nobody really knows that I donate as much as I do to Making Biscuits. But one of the big reasons for me doing the Daily Night, this podcast, is to help raise awareness and money, and also just mostly awareness for Making Biscuits, Cat Rescue, and just animal rescue and good things that people do, charities in general. So Tryne was on antibiotics, and the antibiotics don't seem to be helping anymore. She needs what's called a bronchial lavage, so the doctor can test the mucus in her lungs. But it's a very expensive procedure for a rescue. We have our GoFundMe. It's our target is $1,500. It may seem a lot to you, but if there's 100 people who donate, what is that? $15, or 100 and or what? 1,500 people donating $1, or even if you can donate half of that, if a group of you can donate half of that, we would be able to find enough funding to cover the rest of the cost, hopefully. So it's a very expensive procedure for a rescue. Now, keep in mind, rescues pay out of their own pockets. They're people like you and me. They are not mega corporations. They are not PetSmart or Petco. They don't have all the money in the world. And they usually do this in addition to working a full-time job, trying to make ends meet with their own life, trying to have a social life, trying to have a life, trying to eat normal meals like normal people do. Like, you go out to dinner on a Friday night, or go see a movie, go see Star Wars. The normal people will be able to go to dinner maybe once or twice a week, even the ones who are kind of tight on money. These rescuers, they put all their effort, all the resources into their charity, whatever they're working on, their passion. So, if you're an artist, you know what I'm talking about. If you're an artist and you're always inspired and all you want to do is do art, or you've worked for the Cancer Foundation, or you've worked for the American Heart Association, or you've worked with veterans, the rehab centers, drug addiction, you name it, all the worthwhile causes in America, in the world, the Red Cross, Save the Children, UNICEF. And you know that the more you do it, the more you realize how much more needs to be done, and it's never enough. And I know the only reason I'm doing this is we're basically out of options now, and I'm just asking for Making Biscuits a little bit of help. So here's the rest of it. Also, you can see a video of Tryne trying to breathe and coughing, and she's been that way for weeks now, if not months. And we've done our best to do everything as possible. Actually, Making Biscuits has done their best to go to the vet and all the treatments, and we're just running out of options. And the video, she's really suffering, as you can see in the video. I'm afraid if we don't come up with funds soon, she may die. She's 6 years old and doesn't deserve this. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Please donate so we can help her. Our veterinary fund is completely depleted. And I can tell you, it's totally gone. I've helped them out with 2 other kitties and everything else. That I've been helping them out for 7 years now. and it doesn't help with the recession. I'm pretty sure how I talked about Rogue One earlier, how against all odds, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of you who are watching me right now are your lives are very tight on money. I know, they're talking about Star Wars fans and all that, and you buy your swag, and geek swag. Also, hey, if you want to help us out, go buy a product from Geek Swag, because everything that I make from Geek Swag goes to the charity, to Making Biscuits. And once I'm making more money, I'm gonna go back to donating to. I used to be a sponsor for Save the Children. I sponsored a Egyptian girl, and I think Rania Ahmed, and I think she wanted to be a doctor, and the recession hit, and I couldn't sponsor them anymore. But I'd really like to go back and send like $25 a month even, which I used to do that to her little village in Egypt. No kidding, this is a true story. So I sponsored her for like maybe 3 to 5 years. I'm trying to remember, back in the .com days when everything was good, and money was falling out of the sky, and we had money to give to others without even feeling it in our pocketbooks. But I'm going off tangent. But yeah, basically I've been donating to charity all my adult life when I had work and I had an income, and but I started to donate to Making Biscuits, and especially with the recession again, and hardly anybody has uh, any money anymore. Especially with the recession, people are moving out of their homes, getting evicted, or they're getting kicked out of their homes because they can't pay the mortgage, so they have to move into an apartment. And sometimes the apartment won't allow pets, and we've gotten a lot of that, where the cats, they're not allowed cats, so they have to give up their cat to a cat rescue. And also, like, cat shelters, by the way, in case you're wondering, I know I'm going too long on this, but cat rescue, cat shelters, animal shelters, the vast majority of them are full up on animals that they're taking care of. So they have no more room. So the sad thing is, what happens more often than not, or too often, is that the animal gets euthanized, dog, cat, whatever. And that's why I'm trying to help with this. So if you want to help, there's also an option of, even if you have no money but you buy stuff on Amazon. There's a smile.amazon.com, where you can designate Making Biscuits as your charity of choice. And what happens is, Amazon will donate part of their earnings from what you buy to the charity of your choice. You don't pay any more. The price is not higher or anything. You basically don't even notice that it's happening, except you're in a different link when you're ordering, and it's within Amazon. It's Amazon's own charity program. So I'll put up a link to that also. And I'll for this GoFundMe page for Tryne, I'll have a link. It's at thedailynight.net, the Daily Night with a K.net /GoFundMe. Just like the GoFundMe page. My kitty's over there. Hi. You're cleaning yourself. See? Hi, baby. She wants me to stop so I can hang out with her. So I'm going to stop now. And if you look at the video, Tryne should look as healthy as Honey here. But Tryne isn't. Tryne is very sick, and she's having trouble breathing. If you've ever tried to hold your breath, or gone swimming and just coughed your lungs out, Tryne is going through that right now constantly, and we're trying to figure out help for her. And the only way to do it is to get this expensive test and treatments. So email me, contact me through Facebook. If you do donate, let me know, and I'll I draw. I paint, I draw, and I'll sketch you something. I'll send it to you. Whatever whatever kind of thank you I can do. I also have a eBay page also where I have an eBay page that I sell stuff to help Making Biscuits, and 100% of the proceeds from my eBay page goes to helping Making Biscuits. So, hey, Kitty. So she's healthy, but we need to help Tryne, who is not healthy right now. And thank you for putting up with me. This is the daily night for, what is it today? Thursday, October 13, the day of the Rogue One trailer coming out and freaking the world out again. Hopefully, the movie is wonderful. Hopefully, we can, as individuals and as a country, make the world a better place. So, until the next time, this is Gerardo San Diego. May the force be with you. Thank you very much.